Here we go, boys and girls. This is Bobby Blitz from Overkill and BPMD. You're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm Mark Menghi. That asshole forgot to leave out.
Hey, you are listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast. I am Bruce.
My name is Christopher.
And today I am stoked beyond belief to be speaking to BPMD. So that's going to be Bobby Blitz, Mike Portnoy, Mark Menghi, and Phil Demmel.
Maybe they should have got some bigger metal musicians involved in this.
Yeah, I mean, this is like who's who of all-star metal.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've heard of it, some of their stuff. I don't know if it's all going to be covers, but the two I've heard are unbelievable. Toys in the Attic is kicking it. I think, I just told you this off air, but I think Bobby's got one of my favorite voices in all of metal, and I've known him since the old days at L'Amour. I talked to him through the years, including on the boats, and this is just going to be, I got a boner right now, so we're good.
I've only met Bobby one time, and he was like the nicest guy ever.
Oh my God, so down to earth. I even drank with him on down here in Richmond on a Forbidden tour.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's going to be just pretty awesome. So let me get him on. I guess we got to do it's a four-way, so let me get Bobby on first.
Okay.
We'll grab Mark.
Hey, man.
Bobby, how are you? Bruce Moore, my partner Chris.
Hey, man.
Hey, how you guys doing, all right?
I'm doing great. Are we supposed to add Mark in this one as well?
Yeah, I can.
You want to do it? You want me to do it? It doesn't matter.
I'm just trying to find the app here.
How are you today, man?
Doing all right. Looking forward to the weekend. Got the bike up.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So oil's changed. I don't know. I might leave the dirt on it. It's an old one. It makes it look better.
Hello.
Hey, Mark, how are you? Bruce Moore and my partner Chris.
Hey, nice to meet you, man.
How are you?
Great.
Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
I'm not going to do an interview with a bass player.
Oh, shut up. Shut up.
Fucking, this is too low, man. I have fucking standards. That's the point. That's the point. Hang up. Get the fuck out of here.
Stupid fucking singers.
Make us some lunch.
You know what?
Fucking,
Make us some lunch. That's great.
Bass players are musicians too.
Don't bass players get all the chicks?
They get all the chicks. You know why? Because once they learn the E string, they got a lot of gigs.
Jesus.
Too fucking busy.
Once they learn the E string. I've never heard that before, but I'm going to steal that. I hope it's okay.
Yeah, I heard it from I had a sound girl from the UK told me that. Said, geez, I learned that E string and my phone never stopped ringing.
So before we get started, I want to say thank you for taking the time because I'm a longtime fan from back in the day at L'Amour, and we've chatted over the years many times here in Richmond. I think we even drank on a bus with Forbidden down here.
Very cool, man.
So thank you for taking the time again. Those L'Amour days, you remember those, huh?
Oh God, forget it. I'm still in touch with all those guys. Some of the security guys, the owners. I just called Frankie Felice for his birthday the other day.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think he turned 80, 85 or something, 84.
Wow. Chris is not familiar because he's originally from Vancouver, but I mean, that's where I kind of grew up and cut my teeth on metal and learned about all these bands like you guys and Carnivore and, all that stuff from way back in the day.
Oh, I mean, just an insane place to for an outlet for a young man with too much testosterone in him,
Oh, yeah. What a place.
Yeah.
Anyway,
really
so we're here to talk about BPMD. So just to get started, tell us how this all came about because you got quite a cast list.
Mr. Menghi's, that's Mr. Menghi's question.
It certainly wasn't you, that's for sure.
There he goes. Okay, now we're on a level playing field here.
We got you back, right?
Just so you guys know, this is normal for him and I. This is what we do. We bust each other's chops.
It may be the reason that I play. Maybe the reason I play in Metal Allegiance is that I've never had somebody bust my balls this hard, so I know he obviously likes me.
Nice.
It's like a hockey fight. Once you get in a fight with the guy, you're going to see him all the time. Be like, right on.
Have drinks with them, the whole bit.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
But,
tell me, Mark, how
actually,
did this whole
last
thing
summer,
come about?
This whole last summer, this whole thing kind of started. It's funny. I sent Bobby a photo of the place it started last night. Hanging out in my backyard, fire pit going, music cranking, and Skinner was on radio. And my little guy, my younger son, said, "Hey, Dad, you guys should play this, cover this." And originally, I was like, "Nah, this is not for MA or Metal Allegiance." But
Right.
as the song's progressing, I'm starting to hear how I would do this song if I were to arrange it, play it, record it, whatever it might be. I started hearing drum parts, guitar parts, Hetfield style riffing, et cetera, et cetera. And then I was like, wow, this could be really cool, actually. And then I immediately called Bobby. And I was like, hey, what do you think about doing something like this? Maybe playing or covering some of these songs. And then from there, I'll let Bobby say what he said and continue that story, but it was immediate.
Yeah, I mean, when he got to me, it was, I was rifling off songs before the end of the conversation. I mean, I got to be honest here. This was my era. This is where I grew up. Was the 1970s. I was a teenager with too much energy and a propensity and love for the heavier rock and roll of the era, which really was the bridge into metal. And a lot of those American bands aren't credited for that bridge into metal, but boy, Cactus and Mountain, and those were my two picks. And I was like, man, these bands were the precursor to what I ended up doing for the 35, 40 years that soon followed.
Right. Okay. How did you guys go about recording all of this? Did you guys get into the studio to do this, or was it just taking advantage of like technology and emailing everything back and forth?
No, we all, maybe a week or two, probably 2 weeks after this initial idea, the four of us got together at Mike's house in Pennsylvania, and we arranged and put our ideas together, and Mike even recorded what you hear, the 10 tracks, all in one day.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Which is amazing. So this is not an internet record.
That's good. I think sometimes definitely not sometimes. I think all the time you can tell the difference, and it becomes more organic and more real when you're all in the same room together.
Well, the era that we chose, it really called for that also. I mean, if you were going to do this, why not do it like the guys did it originally? And that would help to keep the integrity of all the tunes. You can reimagine the tune, but the integrity would be there. It would have the vibe of the era of the 70s.
Right.
So you guys tracked this whole record in one day?
Drum tracks.
Oh, drum tracks. Okay, I was like, holy shit. I was like, I knew you guys were machines, but holy fuck. That's crazy.
All right, let me re-answer that. Yes.
Nice. Did everybody have equal input into the songs that went on it, or was it how did that come about? Or was just
Well, yeah, it was equal, very equal. We laid down some, I guess, law, rule, guidelines, however you want to call it, that we each picked 2 songs, had to be released in the 70s, had to be an all-American band, and you can't argue with the other person picks. So if Bobby didn't like my choices, tough shit. If I didn't like his choices, tough shit. If I didn't like Phil's, tough shit. You had to do it. And that's how we went into it. So that it avoided any argument whatsoever. And then we also had 2 community picks that were not an argument. It was, one of the community picks was American Band, which was all like, well, of course we got to do this.
Right.
And the other community pick was Walk Away. I think Mike suggested it, and we're like, yeah, cool, done. I mean, it was easy. So with those guidelines, it made it pretty easy, and we all had our visions for the 2 particular songs we chose. And then, for example, with like Demel, with his picks, he had his visions, and then it was cool to add our input on top of that, on how we would approach it with our individual instrument.
Right.
So did you guys have to change the key of the songs quite a bit to fit the voice?
No.
No, standard, right? I think we kept
Yeah.
everything standard. Yeah, everything was standard. It's funny. Phil and I are used to playing not standard tuning.
Yeah.
So
Right.
to play in standard tuning again, I was like, wow, this is different.
The strings
So
don't feel like spaghetti. What's going on here?
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
It made it punchier for sure, and again kept the integrity of the tunes. You know that there's something that's recognizable right down to the key.
well, that's what I was wondering, because a lot of singers couldn't pull off some of that older stuff, because they're singing like quite high. And when I listen to the demos, I mean, it's high, but I was just like, holy shit, this sounds great. But that's what I was wondering, like if you changed the songs to fit the vocal, but you didn't, the vocal just fit the songs already, which is something that's amazing,
I stopped the Marlboros, I guess 8-9 years ago, and it was a life-changing event for me. I mean, it obviously helped my health first and foremost, but beyond that, I refound a voice I had inside, because it was slowly deteriorating over the years. I mean, I could sit there and lie to you, from here till next Sunday, saying, "Oh no, the Marlboros kind of give me a tonality." It wasn't. It was just kind of wearing my voice down. But within a year after the time I dropped them, the highs became clearer. The lows weren't rubbery anymore for me. So I'm kind of lucky that at my age, older and wiser, I'm running through some of the best, vocal expressions in my entire career, because it's a refound voice. So with regard to BPMD, I mean, it only worked that much better for me.
Yeah, it works amazingly well on the first two singles I've heard. I mean, Toys in the Attic just blew me away. That's really good stuff.
Thanks, man.
That's kicking. Chris?
I don't have anything right now.
So whose picks were Toys in the Attic and Evil?
I did Evil. I picked Evil. That was one of the. I think we had picked that. I picked it that night. Mark had that conversation with me. I mean, and it was like I remember it as like a weekend night. And so we were both had probably a couple of beers in us, and he was with the family, and I was. Man, I shot out Evil and Never in My Life by Mountain. Toys in the Attic was Mike Portnoy, along with, he also picked Wang Dang by Uncle Teddy there.
Right. Nice. So are you guys doing, I know the record's coming out, are you guys doing anything special or anything to interact with the fans in this weird time we're living in? Doing any kind of live streams or anything like that planned?
Well, we've been doing actually a good amount of press and video. I did a impromptu Instagram live stream in the middle of a river on a kayak the other day. That was interesting. So it's different, and we got to obviously think differently to do things to reach out to the fans and to the people out there. As far as us playing together, I just don't know how that would be possible. Latency is a major issue. Yeah. And whoever fixes the computer latency issue is going to be a billionaire.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're trying to do different things. Say Phil Demmel and I made a Spotify playlist of our favorite summertime beer drinking, barbecue, hanging tunes, which we just put out live today. Everything from Kansas to Nugent to Sabbath to UFO to everything in between. Toto's on there. I mean, it's, cool.
I think he's a super underrated guitar player.
Lukather's amazing. He's
he ruled.
He's I mean, shit. That dude's not one guitar studio player that has done more than him, I don't think, as far as guitar goes. I mean, the amount of music he was on between Michael Jackson, I'm just going to say Michael Jackson. I'll leave it there on the throw.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're doing things like that. We're always constantly talking on other things we could do. I see quarantine covers are the big thing. I see demos all over the map with that right now. Just pre-recorded quarantine things. I've been asked to play on a few of those, and I've politely declined. It's just, it's weird to me. I like, for me with music, it's something that's got to be presented in a, I like live manner. I like getting into a room with people and jamming and playing and feeding off energy. And it's when you're playing to a camera to yourself, as much as Blitz is used to playing with himself, for me, it's not I like other people in the action.
Let me tell you something. I'm 61 and I'm still playing with myself. At my age, I should be able to do it in fucking public. Fuck, that's an accomplishment. Jeez.
No blue pills. It's just happening.
But the quarantines are cool. I see that Alex Skolnick, my MA partner in crime, has been doing a lot of them with Benanti, and Phil's starting to do a lot of them, which is awesome.
They've been doing those Rush covers, right?
Yeah, the Rush, which is great.
Those are great.
I actually texted over Alex when I was like, dude, this is amazing. This is great. Charlie's killing it. And that's great to see, musicians out there doing that thing, which is awesome. It's just, for me, it's just not really my cup of tea. It's nothing against anybody. It's just, I don't feel comfortable playing to a camera, just me, and I'm my own worst enemy. I start getting in my own head and start, like, nah, this is not good, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I've done 2 of them with Russ and Dave from X Annihilator. And they've been fun, but I agree with you. It's kind of weird because you have to send tracks back and forth and record yourself doing it live, and it's a bit strange. Yeah,
Bobby and I were talking about doing virtual shows and live concerts, and Bobby and Blitz said it best, and I'll give him all the credit in the world. How could we give the best presentation possible where it doesn't look cheap? How do you do it? I don't know I don't know what the answer to that is.
All right, this brings me to my next question then. Your videos for this are unbelievably cool. Who came up with that idea?
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, Victor. Victor's he's the video director for Toys in the Attic. He was an old friend of mine. I've known him for a long time, years. He was originally slated to shoot the Toys video with us live here in New York City. Then COVID hit. Obviously, travel bans are in place. We have a record coming out. Shit, what do we do?
Yeah.
And he did it. He ran with Toys. Toys was 100% him. Bobby and I spoke to him a few times, but he developed everything you see in Toys was him. He came up with that concept and idea. With Evil was, I wasn't expecting puppets again, but I gave the video, this was a different company that Napalm worked with. And I just told them I wanted to do a Chicago tribute to the old bluesmen, Howlin' Wolf, Willie Dixon, Chess Records, Chuck Berry, Muddy Waters, Little Walter, Cactus. Just a tribute to all those people that came before us. And and still to this day, I watched it again this morning. I'm still finding little things in there. I was like, shit, I didn't even notice half this crap on the first few go-arounds, which is really cool that they snuck in there. So it's just a tribute, and that's all it is, to that scene.
Yeah, no, I dig it. As soon as Bruce sent me the video, I was like, this is so cool. Because I've never really seen a video done that way before.
It's kind of the pandemic special. I mean, it's we can't really get everybody in the same room here, but again, presentation has to be of a high level, or at least interest. It's always been. I know Mark with Metal Allegiance does a high level of presentation when they do their shows. I mean, it's a huge backline. There's backdrops, there's special lights, etc. Overkill's always done it right from the beginning. It's, hey, listen, you may not be the biggest, but present yourself as if you are, go out of your means a little bit more, because that's what brings people back. And that's what gives the people involved pride. It's like, hey, no matter what happens, listen, you paid your $25 to get in, but it's not going to be a ripoff. And, you take that kind of principle through everything you do, and that kind of solidifies tomorrow for you. It makes today great, but tomorrow is solidified by doing that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I come from that background. I went to I have my bachelor's degree in visual communications and art and that whole world, and I pride myself on basically visual elements, whether that's album covers to backdrops to what does the stage look like to video to the smallest detail, minutia typography. I am nuts with that shit, and I love it. And to me, if I'm a kid in a crowd, I want to see bigger than life.
Yeah.
And if MA is playing a small stage, well, we'll cram everything we can
Right.
to make it look.
And at the end of the day, you put your best foot forward. I mean,
same thing with,
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, and same thing with BPMD. With the artwork, I love our album cover, and it's the artwork. It's the artist who I've worked with on the last MA record, Marcelo. He absolutely killed it with the artwork and the cover. And it's just surrounding yourself with those like-minded, creative people. Bobby's one of them. Him and I share that vision of what is the best possible presentation we can give with BPMD, and not make it seem like a cheap, shitty cover bar band.
Right.
What is BPMD? BPMD is Blitz, Portnoy, Menghi Demo. What does that stand for? We're all pretty decent at what we do, so we have to give it that best look.
Right.
Okay, I have to ask a funny question. How did you guys decide the order of the letters in the name?
Age. Actually, I think it would be BD then.
No, BPDM. It would be
BPDM. Okay.
There you go.
I don't know. Just some funny questions. People argue about that sometimes. It's going to be more singers. No, it's going to be singers more. Whatever. They like always argue about stuff like that.
In our case, it went by beauty, and that's how I'm the lead.
Yeah, he calls himself the fat old metal guy, and then other times he calls himself the Jason Momoa lookalike. So I don't know.
I can't help but look like Jason Momoa, and I have a voice like Barry White. I think there are babies being made on this podcast when it goes out.
Fuck. Okay, before we let you go, I have one thing that I have to bring up because Bobby, I met you on 70,000 Tons of Metal. I was hanging out with Andy's girlfriend Laura, and we started talking hockey. Are you missing hockey?
Oh God, I remember this conversation. Were we in the casino?
No, we were pool deck.
Oh, pool deck. All right. Yes, I miss hockey. I mean, I missed the playoffs. The Devils obviously weren't going to make it, but they were making a run with their with all their prospects. And I thought it was great to see them climb out of the basement. I think we're fifth from the bottom right now, but sure, I miss it. I mean, this would be the second season we'd been in right now. We'd be close enough to the cup at this point. The end of May. So sure.
So what's your feeling on them playing with nobody in the stands if they bring it back?
For the time, it's okay with me because I would, obviously I think every hockey fan would be glued to it because you have a bone being thrown to you. But what would it do with regard to the excitement? I think it would be pretty low level with regard to presentation that we were just talking about. Well, you get presented at a high level, but I would still watch. I would watch every series.
Oh, me too. I would be glued to it. I wouldn't even leave. But I was just wondering because in South Korea, a football team just got fined because they were playing without fans, and people were like, "Oh, this is boring." So they filled the stands with sex dolls. And they got.
Wait a second. Because nobody's buying them during the pandemic.
Right.
They've got to take them out and get them some air.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, I've got one last one. It's more serious. Sorry about to take away from the laughter, but you guys have been in this business a long time, and everything is upside down now. Nobody's got a crystal ball, but how do you see this all panning out for musicians and the music industry in general?
Well, myself, we're all in this. Musicians, carpenters, chefs, lawyers, everybody's in it. So, I've always thought of, and no offense to Canada, but I've always thought of America as a great resilient place. that good things come out of bad situations. So I'm really optimistic with regard to where this is going to go. I mean, it's not the event in your life that makes you; it's how you react to the event.
Right on.
Perfect.
It's how I'm not going to say, "Oh, we're all together, peace." Be this way. We got to get on the horse and start riding. I mean, that's just as simple as that, man. And put this behind us some way, whether that be economically, whether that be creatively, whether that be with regard to what the next chapter in humanity is. And
Right.
I'm personally, I'm hoping. Do I get to see the whole thing? I don't know, but the point is that people will be surprised to be able to look back at this through brand new eyes, brand new eyeglasses, and that's what I'm hopeful for.
Awesome. I don't have anything else, Chris.
I don't, but I just feel the same way. I live in the U.S. now, not in Canada. I used to live in Canada, but I live in D.C. I live in D.C. now, and I don't take any offense. Canada's a great place too. And
hey, don't take Blitz's shit, man.
Hey, man, I'm Canadian proud, man. I've spent 40 years of my life there, and I've been in the States for 3 years. But the whole world's dealing with a situation that seems almost impossible. And like you say, it's how you respond to the situation, not necessarily the situation itself.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
You gotta wait. I got a Canadian joke for you, right?
Oh, please go.
I'm ready.
All right. So there's this young kid. He's working in a supermarket, right in the produce section, and he's stacking the lettuce. And he hears behind him, "Hello, son. I'd like a half a head of lettuce." And the kid goes, "I'm sorry, sir. We only sell full heads of lettuce here." And he goes, "You better get your manager." So the kid walks into the manager's office and goes, "Listen, there's some old asshole out here wants a half a head of lettuce." And the kid hears behind him the old guy clearing his throat. Turns around and says, "But this gentleman wants the other half." and the manager says to him, "Okay, give him the half a head of lettuce and then come back to me." So he gives the old guy the half a head of lettuce. He goes back to the manager's office and he goes, "That was pretty smart thinking. You're new here, huh?" He goes, "Yeah, I just started today." He goes, "Well, that's great. What are you doing here?" He goes, "Well, I used to live in Canada." He goes, "You used to live in Canada? What are you doing down here?" He goes, "The whole country's full of whores and hockey players." He said, the manager goes, "My wife's from Canada." Kid goes, "Really? What team did she skate for?"
Oh, man. And on that note,
guys, good luck with the record. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
All right, guys.
That was beautiful.
So
Be safe.
Later on.
Take it easy, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.